Let me offer an explanation of why all this happened. Um, Marxism is with Marx, right? Let's remember, Marx lives the 19th century. He's born toward the beginning and he dies toward the end. So he's in an early phase of capitalism, trying to understand its emergence, let's call it, out of feudalism. He's inspired by the French Revolution. He's inspired by the American Revolution. He says so, and there's not a big interpretive move of mine. And he makes a critique of capitalism. It's a very profound critique. It basically goes like this. Those who brought capitalism out of feudalism promised that it would come with liberty, equality, fraternity, and democracy as its gift to the world. And that's why we should be pro-capitalist, because look what it's bringing. Those were the slogans of the French Revolution, democracy, the American. So he's living 50 years after, 70 years afterwards, and Marx looks around Germany, Western Germany, where he lives as a young person, and he basically notices that whatever capitalism brought, liberty, equality, fraternity, and democracy aren't among them, because it's not. It's very unequal. There's no liberty people have. The poverty is, Marx is living at the time described in Dickens's novels. Remember, Oliver Twist and Copperfield and Tale of Two Cities and all of that. And so he says, what happened? He's distraught because he shared all of those slogans. He loved equality, fraternity, democracy. He loved all of that. What happened? Sort of like, I know this is sacrilege, sort of like Hillary Clinton, after she loses the election, writes a book. What happened? Because it wasn't supposed to. And Marx's conclusion is that capitalism is its own obstacle. It's capitalism, instead of bringing all those things, blocks all those things. Don't look outside. Don't ask. It's not a mystery. Let me show you why capitalism, given how it works, is an obstacle to liberty, equality, fraternity, and democracy. This is very, very powerful, this critique. And the effort to shut it down, to close it off, fails. It spreads like wildfire in the second half of the 19th century. It spawns a political party in Germany, the Socialist Party, which includes Marx's work as its basic literature, includes Marx's family as among its leaders, and so forth. And it leads people to draw a very interesting conclusion. Okay, huge numbers of people say capitalism is the problem, and going beyond capitalism will be necessary to realize liberty, equality, fraternity, and democracy. How do we do it? And again, long story short, the answer is we use suffrage. We are going to use the fact that the mass of people are workers, and we can reach them, and we can make this argument, and we can, here comes the key point, seize the state as the crucial institutional place to get with which then to go beyond capitalism. The state takes on an incredible importance. Okay? The only disagreement, again, long story short, is whether you capture the state democratically with elections, evolutionary socialism, or whether you seize it with a revolutionary explosion, revolutionary. So the Paris Commune of 1871 and the Russian Revolution of 19 are revolutionary, and the gains of the socialist parties in Germany and Austria are the evolutionary. And they're quite They're quite effective, both of them. All right. Now we have the explanation, I think. What happens is what has often happened in history. The means get confused with the ends. The state becomes the thing. Get the state, use the state, capture the state, use the state then. Everything is focused on the state. I want to remind you, Marx never writes about tangentially, but there's no study of this. The state doesn't loom importance. He comes before that. The state becomes important at the end of the 19th and into the 20th century. And then this focus on the state merges together with problems in capitalism that can only be resolved by an ever larger, more intrusive state apparatus. And what begins to happen is a bizarre coming together of the advocates of state intervention to keep capitalism going with the advocates of state to go beyond capitalism. And the two things get terribly confused and interwoven. My teacher, Paul Sweezy, is the coming together of all of those. And that's, by the way, why neoclassical economists have a hard time often understanding why Keynes isn't Marx and Marx isn't Keynes. They get them all mumbled together because of this shared focus on the state. Okay, and then we have the successful revolution in Russia and the successful revolution in China. Successful how? The Communist Party seizes the state. It does that. It does it pretty successfully. It does it against the opposition of the private capitalist universe. In Russia, remember, they lose the World War I, but they then win the revolution and they win the Civil War, and they expel the invaders. France, Britain, the United States, and Japan invade Russia. After the revolution, they defeat them. And they establish what? They establish a system in which the government has largely replaced the private, not in agriculture, and that's a whole other story, but in industry. The government owns and operates the enterprise. The government declares you're the board of directors, you do that kind of work, and you're the employees. China, again, a very long story short. This works nicely for Russia for 70 years. They really do well. They grow fast. If you think of where Russia was at the time of the revolution in 1917, it was the most backward corner of Europe. And within 50 years, despite 2 world wars, a revolution, and a civil war, they are the challenger of the United States. That's an amazing achievement. Before you dismiss everything they did, that is an amazing achievement. There were horrible things that happened along the way. That's part of the balance. I have no problem with that. But they achieved a lot of things.